illuminating talk. Now I'll pass you over to Steve Duffield of the
Zeitgeist Movement.
Zeitgeist.
Not positive.
You shouldn't be stand up.
I'll stand up. There you go. Okay, I'm not used to doing this. I'm not used to speaking in front of people about the Zeitgeist Movement or anything. We're a new movement, and so it's hard for when you get to these political groups and things like that. People talk often about the masses, talking about to the general public. I'm here representing the masses. I'm a member of the general public. I also happen to be part of the Zeitgeist Movement. But I come from a background of politically probably anarchist. So I see I have a lot in common with socialism. I also have a lot in common with communism. And the things that the Zeitgeist movement advocate, which is, again, a moneyless society, the common heritage of all of the Earth's resources for all of the people. These are all things which are natural to me and natural to everyone here. And I think that one of the main problems is in the language that is used. I think that nearly everything that Adam said I would absolutely agree with. I don't think that there's any problem. I mean, Francesco's introduction in terms of monetary reform, it makes, I know probably most people within the socialist movement, in your part of it anyway, are horrified by this idea. We don't promote reformism. Reform is going to happen. Reform continually happens. Everything is reforming. So you can't deny reform, and if it's positive, then it's positive. But we don't have a reformist agenda. We're not reformists, and we don't promote this idea. I mean, but the problem is with us, and I think to a certain extent with any party or movement that's open, is that it's open to ideas from everybody. So there will be people within your movement in the same way there are with us who see a standard political or reformist route as one which they feel is the best way forward. No, I mean, I don't. I agree with you. I personally agree with you. But I'm sure there are people, I mean, the gentleman here who was saying you would vote, it would be voted out. This is an orthodox political route. I don't promote that, and I don't think there's many people who do promote that. So the difference is this is politics. What we're doing here is politics with a small p. But it's the difference between orthodox and grassroots, which is what we're about. So the main thing which when Adam was talking earlier, he used the word radical. To me, radical means getting to the core of the problem, looking for the core reasons for why we're in this mess, and then obviously dealing with those. Now, I think that again, the discussion earlier was about whether money was the core or whether capitalism was the core. I would argue that that as money is a part of how we have evolved as a species, as a society, to store value, to how we are able to deal with the resources that we have, and obviously put into the idea of ownership as well. So I would argue that that is the core problem. That is the thing that is right at the heart of it, and that the way that we've dealt with it, the emergent, the way that capitalism has emerged, is something which is a symptom of that way of organisation. Actually, I've got a quote here, which it says, "Millions of socialists of both hemispheres already agree that the present form of capitalist appropriation cannot last much longer. Capitalists themselves find it must go and dare not defend it with their former assurance. Their only argument is reduced to saying to us, we have not invented anything better." This is great, this is what we're all here for. Unfortunately, this was written in 1898, and in Anarchism in the Philosophy and Ideal. These ideas are not new. These ideas, whether it's labelled communist, socialist, anarchist, zeitgeist, all of these ideas are the same things, and while we talk about the details and while we find problems with some of the thinking. We know that we're humans. You know, we're not. We're defined by a language, which is often a problem, and this is a problem. You know, we use these terms: democracy, the idea of all of the things that we're aiming for, to have an egalitarian society. We use the idea of they're used by everyone. You know, whether they're Tories, you know, they all use the same language. They all talk about how we're going to move forward in the democratic to a fair and free society, and it means that it ends up meaning nothing because they're just words, you know. And so you have to the difference between the ideas and the ideology, and this is what we in the Zeitgeist Movement are hoping to break down. To concentrate on the ideas, whether they be whatever labels you want to stick on them. It's the ideas that are important. When we get too bogged down with the doctrine, the dogma, the ideology, whether it's socialism or communism or whatever, it stops us from going forward. And we're living a paradigm now. The biggest probably positive of technology now is in communication. We have the ability now to communicate globally. We have in 1904 when the Socialist Party of Great Britain was formed, obviously the idea of having books and pamphlets and meetings was the only way of getting those things across. Peter Joseph has created a series of films, Zeitgeist Movement Forward, which is the last one in the series, has been viewed within a year and a half since it's been out by 13 million people. Online. You know, this is a huge, globally, so that you can get these ideas across, and these ideas are no different from your ideas. You know, these ideas aren't something which he's come up. He doesn't say that he comes up with these ideas. These are accumulation of all the ideas which have gone before him, from socialist, communist. We reject the isms because these are things which are seen as holding us back. You know, if you get too strung out on these ideologies, you know, these are the things which are stopping us from really communicating the ideas. But anyway, we have this this technological way now. We can communicate much easier. We can get these ideas across. There are people from many different backgrounds. I continuously talk to people all across the world about these things now because of Facebook and because of Twitter and things like this. These things are communicated really, really quickly, and that's the way we can move forward. And I'm hoping that that the Socialist Party of Great Britain and all of these groups can understand that you know, we're not trying to steal your clothes. You know, we're not trying to steal your ideas. We're trying to. I see it as a continuum. You know, these things that have been there, and we're just putting them into a modern frame of reference. You know, we're giving it a different context, and I think it will take it forward. And I think that as well, I don't want to commodify it. I don't want it to be seen in a modern way and to make memes out of it or do a Comey 2012 or any of these things. You're not trying. These are tough ideas. These are things which people really have to do the homework to understand. But the fact that you can, it's not a case of education. I think I hear a lot of people saying, "Oh, what we've got to do is get out there and educate people." That puts us in a position of superiority. We've come across information which other people might not have come across. Our job is to get that information to people, and we have to use the most effective way of doing that. And at the moment, the most effective way of doing that is through modern forms of communication. And so whether it's you or us or other people, if these ideas, you know, I don't think we should concentrate on the differences as concentrate on the similarities. You know, I think that we want the same things. You know, the goal is the same. It's just we may think about details in a different way. Now, obviously, we start with a very similar thing: the common ownership of to make all the resources in the world, common heritage of all the people. It's exactly the same as where you stem from. Where you stem from. We, I guess, concentrate on the technological aspects of undermining the system as it is, rather than thinking about a revolution in terms of a violent revolution or forcing this on other people. It comes through the idea of critical mass, for people understanding what these ideas. If enough people understand them, you know, then things will change. And this is, but also undermining capitalism through the ways and means that we are able to do things now. The music industry, I used to be a musician, and the music industry is basically been destroyed largely as a way of making money because of technology, because of the technological advances through file sharing and things like this. This is a great thing. The unemployment that comes about because of it is a great thing. You know, we need to instead of, you know, now when people say, you know, all these people have been made unemployed, of course it's a terrible thing. I don't want to be made unemployed. You know, I don't want to. I have my family, and I have to look after my daughter here. And so, but conceptually, psychologically, we have to change the way that we think about these things. Unemployment or less employment is the way forward. You know, I don't want to be working 5 days a week or 6 days a week. I want to be working 2 days a week to start off with, eventually not working at all. I don't want to have money. I don't want to worry about where my money's coming from. I want to be able to go to the library and take out the lawnmower if I want to and things like that. You know, we don't need to own all this crap that we've got in our sorry, we don't listen to that. That we've got in our house. You know what I mean? We have all this rubbish which we don't need. You know, we can go and access all these things. And this is the thing. These are the type of things that we advocate. And of course, it's an ever emergent thing. It's an ever. These changes are emergent. They're not. They will come about probably by reform, but not through a political reformist agenda. I agree. I wouldn't advocate that at all. And going back to Francesco's idea of what he was talking about, money, I mean, I think that the key thing is to look at how we motivate people today. You know, we are all motivated by money. This is why we do all the stuff that we do. And this is why it's so important to break down those psychological barriers towards these things and to get people to overturn their indoctrinations. We came out this morning and we're in Dagenham at the moment, and we walked out and there were people lying in the streets to see some lunatics running past with a torch, you know, and I thought we're at such a level, you know, they've told us it's the Olympics, it's great, go outside and look at someone walking, but you know, this is crazy, this is symptomatic of the society that we live in. We're told to do these things, we're told to understand these things and the way to understand them, and so we need to break down these ways of thinking, and this is what the Zeitgeist Movement is about. And I think that this is, the language is a modern language. It's a language that is perhaps more easy for younger people to. I talk as if I'm a young person. You know,
you are.
Young people to understand. I mean, I spent a lot of time with my daughter and her friends, and she understands it. She gets this idea that that the world would be a better place if it wasn't for money, if Dad wasn't having to go and work and things like that. And I think that people, especially the younger generation, will understand it. If you use a language. I was talking to the gentleman outside, and he was talking about the way that you can organise within the workplace and things like that, but using a very politicised language. And I think that this puts a lot of people off. In my, you know, like I say, I work in security, and I'm not going to get a round of applause for that. But it's a working class job. You know, no matter what, you know, it's a rubbish job. You know, it's not a job. And I understand more than anyone, my job isn't a job. They might as well put a cardboard cutout. I'm not there. I've got banks of CCTV cameras. Don't worry. When people say we live in a securitized society, don't worry about it. Because no, it's people like me watching the cameras, watching you, and I'm not interested in that. And if all of those cameras had someone watching them, there would be no unemployment. So, we don't have a problem. But the reality is, it's not a job. The reality is, my job is a financial transaction. My company would have to pay more in insurance if they didn't have guards on site, and that's why I'm there. It's business. It's all business. Everything is business. And when we can break down those ideas of it being business, then that's when we can move forward. And I think that we're all in agreement. There is no disagreement. Do you know what I mean? And we can get stuck on this idea of monetary reform and how money is created and things like this. But these aren't really the important things. You know, the goals are the important things, how we get there, how we communicate these ideas. Really, that's the most important thing, is communicating these ideas, building a critical mass of understanding. we have a very scientific approach, and we understand that 10% is the figure needed for critical mass, where you can change, you can shift paradigms, you can move forward, you know. And this is what we're working on. It seemed to me very easy at the beginning. You know, when I come across this idea, 10%, that's easy, and then, but everyone understands in a different way, and then you have to go through it and through it and through it, and you're going to go through many of these discussions. Many people saying to you, all we need to do. Start a political party, we call it the Zeitgeist Party, we'll get into power probably, you know, within 5 years, we can change everything, get rid of money, there we are, utopia, here we are. It's not going to work, we know it's not going to work like that. Anyone who has any political understanding, or any understanding of political history, knows it's not going to work like that. But there is a certain inevitability. If it makes sense, if it's right, if eventually we understand that the way money works, the way business works, the way capitalism works is wrong, we understand that there's inevitability of it will happen as we mature as a society, as an organism, as the world is one single organism. I went to a lecture recently, Charles Eisenstein, who said that we're like a child. The world is like a child at the moment, but eventually we'll become an adult. That's when we will really reach, we're probably adolescent at the moment. That's why we're fighting each other. We have all these conflicting ways of thinking. And then when our hormones settle down, we'll reach an equilibrium, and we will become adult, you know, and it will be a sensible way of doing things. It's, you know, and it makes sense, you know, but it's not inevitable, because there are loads of messed up adults, as we know. We perhaps have to go through some therapy before we reach this point. But anyway, I won't keep on going on. I don't think so anyway, yeah, the key thing is reaching people, is giving the information to people. It's not the case of trying to change it, not selling the idea, it's not trying to change people's mind. The information is there, we all understand it, it's been there for hundreds of years. Capitalism is a problem, money is a problem, work is a problem, no one wants to work. We have to rethink about the way we work. When I talk about work, I see eyebrows raised, nobody wants to work. Work is not, doesn't have to be, we all like doing things, we love doing things, we want to do, and we want to do productive things. Nobody, I spend most of my time when I'm at work being a security guard fixing computers for people, because I'm good at it, and I don't, you know, not for money, just because I enjoy it, and people come and they buy me a bottle of whiskey or something like that. You know, this is great, this is the way that it's a much more sensible way of doing stuff, and it's natural, it's much more, you know, what we, and the other way, the money way, sets us against each other. It sets us up as competitive. School, we go and we get grades for stuff we don't care about, okay? And it prepares us to get money for stuff we don't care about. You know, this is what preparation, this is what our so-called education system does. And so we're led down this way of thinking, and eventually, now we have the means to communicate on a global scale that these things are rubbish, and now, you know, this is where we have to change. So that's what we're all about, and that's how we, in a very probably wishy-washy way, it isn't that wishy-washy. If you look at the website, we have a very structured idea of how these things are going to come about, and in the same way you have. It's no different really. I don't know. I've lost my train. Anyway,